Are you or your partner currently in school or job training? Or are either of you thinking about going back to school or seeking additional job training? If so, this video will help you identify common problems and get some ideas on how to solve them.
Our Relationship
with Dr. Brian Doss. External stressors, such as going back to school or seeking additional job training, can cause significant problems for relationships. Keep watching to learn more about common cycles couples experience around external stressors, such as school or job training, as well as tips for breaking out of these cycles. Because every couple is different, it's important to watch the full video. You might find that one of the cycle applies to you or your partner's behavior, but you may also find that the other cycle applies. The first pattern I want to talk about is the not now pattern. Partners may not agree on how important advanced education or training is, or whether the timing is right. If one partner already has a degree or advanced training, seeking further education may seem unnecessary or excessive. First, I want to talk to the partner wanting additional schooling or training. If this is you, you may think things like, this is really important for my career and a better future for our relationship. However, you may feel caught between wanting to advance your career and contributing financially to your relationship right now. It may seem like this investment in yourself may or may not pay off in the long run. If these are concerns you're having, here are some tips to change these situations. The first one is open up. If you're feeling really certain that you want to go to classes or training despite the barriers, there are likely some strong emotions you're feeling. Be sure to share those hidden emotions with your partner. For example, you might be feeling unappreciated at your current job, or like you're letting yourself or your family down by staying in your current position. You really feel like you could do better. The second tip is ask your partner. Chances are, if this has become a problem in your relationship, your partner likely has some strong feelings as well. You may be aware of some of those feelings, but not others. So be sure to ask about your partner's feelings. You may be seeing the surface emotions, but not the hidden emotions. The third tip is make a pro and con list. Together with your partner, create a pro and con list about going back to school or getting additional training. You may find that doing this together gets you and your partner on the same page, regardless of what decision you end up making. For example, ask, what does tuition cost? Have you saved for tuition? How long would it pay to pay back the loans? What is the job availability like once you get out of school? Or how much income would you be giving up in order to attend school or training? The fourth tip is consider all of the options. Sometimes our first idea isn't the best one. So consider, could you go to school part-time? Although it might extend the time of the degree, working part-time during school could help you offset some of the financial burden on your partner. Or maybe, could you find an option that would cost less money or take less time? There are lots of resources online that can help you find free or low-cost training in your area. Also, are there extended family members that could help out during this period, either paying with tuition or just helping out with things like childcare? So that you can avoid additional expenses. Now what I want to do is talk to the partner who is against going back to school or training. If this is you, you may be saying things like, this really isn't the best step for us. School and job training are sometimes seen as a luxury, one that may feel outside of your financial or time capabilities right now. Or you may not see the need for additional education or training if your partner already has a good job. So if this sounds like you, here are some tips to change these situations. The first one is talk it out. You probably know by now that I'm a big fan of making sure you understand a problem before you try to solve it. So if you haven't already, please watch our video on how to develop a deep understanding of this issue. The second tip is make a plan. When your partner wants to make this big kind of change, it can feel really scary. Instead, try making a long-term plan of what schooling or job training would look like so you have a better idea of what's involved and hopefully reduce some of those unknowns. For example, when are bills due? What major deadlines will your partner have to meet? When are exams? Getting a better idea of when the stressful or crunch times are could help the two of you plan accordingly. The third tip is come up with relationship goals. Sitting down with your partner to jointly discuss what your goals are together for your relationship is really important. Do you want kids? Do you want to travel more? Do you want to move? Get together and discuss whether your partner's goals for training or education are in line with your relationship goals. The fourth tip is consider all the options. If your concern has to do with the type of training or education your partner is considering, take a look online to help your partner locate other possibilities for training or education in your area. For example, there may be options, either free or part-time, that would reduce some of your concerns. Knowing that those are options out there may help you have a discussion rather than just saying no. Okay, so that's the first pattern that couples often get into around this issue. The second common pattern is what we call this balancing act is killing me. When one partner is in school or seeking further job training, the other partner is also affected. Figuring out together how to handle these extra stressors can be really challenging. So I'm going to give you some tips. The partner in school or training might find themselves thinking, it's not my fault I'm not working right now. You may feel overworked at school or training, trying to do all of that. And so keeping your relationship strong, taking care of the kids, maintaining friendships, and all the while having to find some time for yourself. This is where you most need your partner to be there for you. On the other hand, if you're the one who's having to support your partner going to school or training, you may be thinking, you know what, you chose to get this degree or this training, so you have to deal with the consequences. When your partner is in school or training, the extra burden often falls on you. This may be financially, childcare, or responsibilities at home like housework or paying the bills. It might feel like you're working harder than your partner who's getting the degree. Regardless, if you or your partner is in school or training, here are some tips you can both use to change these situations. The first tip is decide on now versus later. Try to prioritize what has to be done now versus what can wait. Assignments for school or training, taking care of the kids, and paying bills are definitely now tasks. Even though other things on your plate feel important, ask yourself if they're really priorities. The second tip is divide and conquer. Sit down with your partner and make a chore list to decide who does what. Figuring out what works with your schedule so you can help while the others at school can help you ease the weight on your partner. On the other hand, if you're in school, you have to think about what you can do around the house when you're not in classes or at training. Be sure to figure out what times during the day or what specific tasks your partner really needs your help with. Knowing that can help you make sure you don't let your partner down when he or she needs you most. The third tip is, if you're the one in school or training, say thanks. Find a way to thank him or her and show him or her your appreciation for all that they're doing. On the other hand, if your partner is in school or training, let your partner know that this is hard for you. Let your partner know what you find most difficult about this situation. Maybe that you feel neglected or that he or she doesn't have time for you. Maybe it's the grocery shopping that's really stressful or the child care. Try to work together to make this difficult time as positive and possible for both of you. And in order to do that, you really need to communicate about what you need your partner's help with most.